Right now, on to the point.
ADU units like this one here are growing in popularity, but so are the complaints. How the state plans on protecting homeowners and what you need to know before signing a contract.
Plus the Esparto fireworks explosion.
These individuals currently should not be purchasing, selling, or using any type of pyrotechnics in California.
After 7 deaths in a blast that shook a community, tonight the focus turns to 2 men now at the center of the investigation. Put on hold after heated debates when a proposed bill restructuring Sacramento's homelessness agency could be revived.
Coming more frequently with more intensity.
As deadly flash floods ravage parts of the country, a look at what's behind the surge.
As always, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. And tonight, accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, growing in popularity. So are the complaints about increasing companies that are making problems for some people. Some have lost thousands of dollars in the process, and others have had projects delayed for years. The Contractors State Licensing Board says they are now dedicating a lot more resources to the issue. And as ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen explains, there are a number of things that homeowners can do to protect themselves. Right, Jeannie?
That's right, Alex. I have been covering this issue for about a year now, and the state says they started seeing more complaints about ADUs because of the Fair Oaks-based company Anchored Tiny Homes. That company is now closed, but there are other concerns out there.
Right here, and it's a studio ADU, 240 square feet.
This ADU in Crystal Myers' woodland backyard will soon be a new home for her mother-in-law. But getting to this point has been a journey. In April 2023, she hired Anchored Tiny Homes to do the job.
We ended up losing, I want to say, all calculated about $10,000 if I had to guess.
Months later, the Fair Oaks-based company closed its doors, filed for bankruptcy, and lost its contractor's license. Since then, Crystal hired another contractor, but not without a major learning lesson.
I didn't know that there was laws that protected me. I tried to just do everything by contract and didn't know that there was, anything that was moving forward past the contract that would protect me.
Crystal is one of the many homeowners impacted by the growing complaints surrounding ADUs.
It's brought some egregious actors into the industry.
The Contractors State License Board is state-run and aims to regulate the construction industry. The CSLB says it started noticing growing ADU complaints last summer.
That's when we really started seeing the complaints come up. And as we started to see the trends in them of excess down payments or excess progress payments, we started taking action.
The state has dedicated its multiple offender unit to address the ongoing problems.
The unit is focused on quick disclosure on the license, so consumers, when they do the license check, can see that there's been complaints received, getting an accusation filed to revoke the license, and then coordinating the investigation with local prosecutors to address the financial crimes that may have occurred.
And now the state is seeing a common theme with one Rancho Cordova-based company who currently has 5 active and open complaints with the state.
We're seeing the excessive down payments. We're seeing the excessive progress payments. We're seeing, in this case, similar to Anchored Tiny Homes, are also the issue of potential subcontractors not being paid as well. Those tend to be the main issues that we've seen with Nona as well.
A representative for Nona Homes provided ABC 10 with a statement that says in part, these are not findings of fault and many complaints are dismissed or resolved without any disciplinary action. For Crystal, she believes she dodged a bullet after inquiring with Nona.
And they didn't follow through with the items that I asked, and so I couldn't trust it.
Crystal opted to go with another company after getting a referral and doing more research.
If everything goes according to plan, this should be move-in ready within the next 2 weeks. Crystal says this has been a long time coming for her mother-in-law.
She's ready. She's excited to move in here and anxious. Yep.
As for the people who have lost money, the state wants you to keep this in mind.
$1,000 for the down payment and only paying for work as it's being done or supplies are being delivered.
The Contractors State License Board says it is in the process of hiring 3 additional investigators for its multiple offender unit to expand the team to 10 staff members. We have also posted the full statement from Nona Homes and an acceptable sample payment schedule from the state on our website at abc10.com. Alex.
All right, Janie, thank you for that update. Now to Esparto, where the licenses of 2 companies tied to the deadly fireworks explosion have been suspended. And we first brought you the suspensions as breaking news just last night. And now the state fire marshal's office tells ABC 10 they are considering revoking them altogether. So for the past 2 weeks, families of 7 people killed in the fire have been desperate for answers and frustrated by the slow trickle of information. 2 pyrotechnic companies companies are involved. Kenneth Chi owns Devastating Fireworks. Craig Cutright, a volunteer firefighter in Esparto, owns Black Star Fireworks and are under investigation.
But we have enough here to know that these individuals currently should not be purchasing, selling, or using any type of pyrotechnics in California while this investigation is ongoing.
While the companies were licensed at the state level, Yolo County officials say the property was zoned agricultural intensive, which bans fireworks storage. Officials say no local permits were ever issued for fireworks, pyrotechnics, or other explosive material. The fire marshal says local authorities were responsible for doing that.
The fire code requires local jurisdiction to provide the local permit. It's not a mandated inspection. It's up to the local authority having jurisdiction, just like any hazardous material, any explosive material, to set based on that hazard how frequently they want to choose to inspect it.
We reached out to the Yolo County Board of Supervisors for comment on local oversight. They actually just got back to us just moments ago saying in part, quote, the Board of Supervisors is monitoring the situation and will consider whether updates to local ordinances and enforcement procedures are warranted based on the results of the investigation. And developing news tonight, $4 billion in federal grants for California's high-speed rail are officially canceled. The Department of Transportation says they cut the unspent federal funding. Roughly $15 billion has already been spent over the past 16 years, with a projected total cost of $135 billion. The Department of Transportation says in part, quote, this is California's fault. Governor Newsom and the complicit Democrats have enabled this waste for years. Federal dollars are not a blank check. They come with a promise to deliver results. Governor Newsom's office is responding tonight saying in part, quote, Trump wants to hand China the future and abandon the Central Valley. We won't let him. With projects like the Texas high-speed rail failing to take off, we are miles ahead of others. We are now in the track laying phase and building America's only high-speed rail. California is putting all of the options on the table to fight this illegal action. New developments tonight in a story that we brought you yesterday. State Senator Angelique Ashby's bill on the housing and homelessness is now on hold. Senate Bill 802 is meant to restructure the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency to a joint powers authority and renaming it to the Sacramento Area Housing and Homelessness Agency. There's been a lot of debate over the bill between cities and Sacramento County leaders, with critics saying the bill won't solve the homelessness problem. Well, today, Senator Ashby announced her bill would not be voted on today.
The thing that convinced me to take this opportunity to bring in the community and not just force upon them this one particular strategy is, first of all, I don't think I'm the expert on exactly all the details that need to be in that structure or frame.
And as you can see, a lot of local leaders were at the press conference alongside Ashby in support, including Sacramento City Council member Katie Maple, who spoke about the resources and collaboration between cities and counties.
There will be a board, there will be accountability, because that's what the people expect, especially for spending money. They want to know where's it going, how's it being spent, and is it being spent well. It's going to include all of the jurisdictions, which is really important because we're all in this together.
Says that she will decide whether or not to put it back on the legislative agenda. Of course, that's something that we'll continue to follow. All right, 2 California Republican lawmakers want to require voter ID and proof of citizenship at the polls. They hope to get the measure on the ballot coming up in 2026. The proposal announced today would also call for an extra layer of identification for mail-in ballots. Supporters argue the measure would restore trust in elections. Opponents, including state Democrats and civil rights groups, say the effort would make it harder to vote. California is among 14 states that do not require voter ID at the polls. Still a lot more news to get to, so coming up, a tsunami warning has people moving to higher ground. What caused this scene in Alaska just today? Plus, rain is falling faster, harder, and longer. What's behind the recent flash flooding and how these disasters are impacting insurance?
We only made it to 82 today in Sacramento, and though it will be warmer tomorrow, we're still going to be cooler than normal headed into the weekend. Forecast after the break.
But first, another headlines. Parts of the East Coast are bracing for more severe weather after days of heavy rain and flooding. In Petersburg, Virginia, a creek in the city topped 15 feet, flooding neighborhoods with up to 18 inches of water. In New Jersey, 2 women were killed when their car was swept into a brook. We're watching more wildfires in the West. In Oregon, the Cram Fire has burned more than 40,000 acres with zero containment.
We had a bunch of tankers on it, and it still was just really resistant to any suppression effort.
And south of Denver, the Turner Gulch Fire exploded in size since Monday, destroying more than 12,000 acres. Air travel might be seeing another big change. 1 week after passengers were told a new policy would phase out removing their shoes at security, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is considering altering the carry-on liquids limit, though no further details were announced.
Welcome back in. A tsunami warning is in effect along parts of Alaska after a magnitude 7.3 earthquake hit off the southeastern coast of Alaska. This is a video of people in Alaska heading to higher ground. The quake hit near a lightly populated area about 600 miles off southwest Anchorage. There have been no reports of any damage. And then closer to home, a grass fire is now contained in Rio Linda after threatening several buildings. This is on Alberta and Levy Roads. Firefighters say at least 244 acres have burned so far, and we know that SMUD is reporting some outages in that area due to damaged equipment. So far, no reports of anyone hurt. But I want to get over to meteorologist Brendan Minchef because it was a lot cooler today. We're well below average, which I will take after last weekend's heat. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, well, last weekend we were only in the mid-90s, so that was not that far above normal, within a couple of degrees for sure in Sacramento. So the fact that we go from the 90s and we say, wow, it feels so much cooler, especially in July, that means we've got to be in those low 80s, and that's exactly where we were today. 82 and only 82 in Sacramento, 87 in Stockton, 88 in Modesto, 89 Marysville, 85 Jackson, 81 in South Lake Tahoe, 84 in Truckee. Temperatures, look at that, about 10 degrees below normal for the time of year. 79 already in the 70s in Sacramento, 77 in Elk Grove, 83 in Stockton, 86 Modesto, low 80s in the foothills. The one thing that we have seen today that's a little different other than the temperatures are these showers and thunderstorms. It's not quite in the Sierra. In fact, it's really along the eastern slope. Here's 395, and really it's even east of that into the state of Nevada. So those are going to stay out of our area, but it just goes to show there's a little bit of that monsoonal moisture working its way up into parts of the Intermountain West. And that's part of the reason why we're a little cooler. 79 right now as we look at downtown Sacramento. Winds 15 miles per hour to the southwest. Mid-60s by 10 o'clock, low 60s by midnight. We're going to start off tomorrow morning in those middle 50s. So cool and a little bit breezy. Tomorrow afternoon, warmer than today, but not hot. Upper 80s to low 90s in the valley, still running a few degrees below seasonal. And there's more where that came from because we're going to stay that way for Friday. Again, a little bit warmer on Friday, low 90s, but still below normal. Seasonal Saturday and Sunday, then we're back in the 80s, more than 5 degrees cooler than normal by the time we get to the start of next work week. There's that little low pressure system to our south. That's bringing just a little bit of that moisture up along the eastern slope, but then that starts to move out. High pressure will start to build in again towards the latter half of next week, but it's kind of a rinse and repeat pattern. We're going to be in those 80s to 90s this weekend, and then 80s back to 90 next weekend. Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, with inflation increasing, President Trump goes after the Federal Reserve chair. Could he be fired? And the cost of employee health care is going up. How companies are working to ease the burden. Welcome back in. If you think you have been hearing more about flash flooding recently, there is a reason why. The National Weather Service has issued more than 3,000 flash flood warnings nationwide so far just in 2025, marking a new record. As back-to-back events are happening across the country, reporter Michael Yoshida has more on what's behind the seemingly nonstop weather events.
Heavy rain and deadly flash flooding putting communities across the United States underwater.
It feels like events like last night, again, not just in New Jersey, but as a general matter, are coming more frequently with more intensity.
Summer is flash flood season, when intense daytime heat can fuel thunderstorms and warm air can hold more moisture. But experts say these recent events were more significant for several reasons. Along with high daytime temperatures in parts of the country, we've also seen record levels of atmospheric moisture, which helped drive heavy rainfall that led to deadly flooding in Texas and North Carolina. Summer storms also tend to move more slowly or even stall due to winds in the upper atmosphere being weaker.
And as a result, just deluging places that are not designed to handle that amount of precipitation in that short a period of time.
Recent wildfires also causing problems in areas like Ruidoso, New Mexico. burning away vegetation, and in some areas, the fire's extreme heat changing the soil's natural ability to absorb and slow down rainwater. Droughts can have a similar effect too, something we saw amplify deadly flooding in Texas. Urban areas are not immune either, where asphalt pavement and older drain systems can be overrun.
There is a growing recognition in financial markets, in the scientific community, and starting in infrastructure planning that we are dealing with a much different beast in terms of the weather patterns that we're experiencing, and things have to change.
And as severe weather events like this become more frequent, insurance rates are rising, not just in California, but across the country. So take a look at this. These are the top 10 states with the biggest increases in home insurance rates. This is according to the company Lending Tree, who looked at data between 2019 and 2024. Colorado ranks #1 for insurance rate increases, followed by other western states, including Utah, Arizona, and Montana. California tied with Texas at #10, and Illinois, which ranks #7 on the list. Homeowners with State Farm insurance will soon see an increase of 27%. All right, let's jump into your price points tonight. Today, President Trump said while it's highly unlikely, he's not ruling out firing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. The president said Powell is, quote, a terrible Fed chair.
With inflation rising and no indication the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates, President Trump is telling Republican lawmakers he will likely fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell soon. That's according to two sources familiar with a meeting the president had with a group of Republican lawmakers on Tuesday. Trump did not confirm that, but told reporters today he's not ruling it out.
I talked about the concept of fire him. I said, what do you think? Almost every one of them said I should.
Trump points to the renovation of the federal building as a possible reason to fire him, suggesting Powell is committing fraud and mismanaging funds.
I mean, it's possible there's fraud involved.
ABC's Karen Travers pressing the president.
You mentioned fraud in an earlier answer. Are you saying you want to investigate the Fed chair for fraud related to this renovation?
Well, I think he's already under investigation. He spent far more money than he was supposed to on rebuilding.
Powell requested a review of the renovation project by the agency's inspector general, while Trump is questioning how Powell was appointed in the first place.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him.
But it was Trump himself who chose Powell back in 2017.
He's strong, he's committed, he's smart.
New numbers from the Labor Department show inflation is up 2.7% from last year, rising for the third month in a row. Prices for shelter rose 0.2% in June and was the main factor in the monthly increase. Coffee per pound is up 30% from just 1 year ago. From a month ago, appliances and toys are up nearly 2%.
And the president again today urged the Fed to lower interest rates, but it's highly unlikely that they'll do that at their next meeting with inflation increasing. Meanwhile, you may see a bigger chunk of your paycheck going towards healthcare costs next year. That's according to Mercer's survey on health and benefit strategies. That means health insurance options could include higher deductibles or out-of-pocket maximums. The amount an employer spends on health benefits is expected to jump nearly 6% this year. That would follow a rise of 4.5% just last year. And another factor really impacting employer health care costs is the increasing popularity of expensive weight loss drugs. Nearly 2/3 of mid-sized companies offered coverage for the drugs in 2024. More than half of employers say they are planning to pass higher health care costs on to their workers. That number is likely to decrease in 2026. Right after the break, outdoor enthusiasts have a new place to shop. The latest REI store opening soon. All right, before we go, while many big chain stores may be closing their doors, people living in the Elk Grove area will soon have a new place to get their outdoor gear. And that's because REI will open a new location in Elk Grove next Friday, July 25th. It's at the Laguna Gateway Center on West Stockton Boulevard at the former Bed Bath & Beyond location. They'll have a grand opening, of course, a celebration on Friday and Saturday with music, giveaways, and outdoor vendors. REI says they are also donating $10,000 to a local nonprofit called Runnin' for Rhett, which promotes youth fitness and movement. And that is our show for tonight. As always, thank you so much for watching and for always inviting us into your home. You already know if you have something that you think me and the team should be looking into, you can always send us an email at tothepoint@abc10.com. And I know we cover a lot of ground here on the show, so if you missed any stories or you just want to catch up on a show, you can always download our free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app straight to your TV so you can get news anytime, anywhere in your area. Thank you for joining us. I'll see you tomorrow.